Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Toske. You've probably heard about it by now, especially if you're subscribed to Epic Name Bro and Hellkite Drake, and I actually heard about it from Hellkite Drake, but I want to talk about Project Beast today, the rumored PlayStation 4 exclusive FromSoftware collaboration with Sony's Japan studio with the director of Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, Hidetaka Miyazaki, helming the project, which sounds like a friggin' dream thing, like a dream opportunity, dream project, and a giant erect penis that's going to go into the vagina of Dark Souls fans. But I'm going to talk about that today, and as I said, it is a rumor. I personally don't think it is because I feel like the visual evidence is strong enough to warrant it being true. You could argue that it's modded or photoshopped, but one, you can't mod Demon Souls because it's on the PS3, and two, the Dark Souls PC, all you could really do was like texture mods, and even then, like, there's only so much you can do with that, which would make trying to fake something pretty hard if you ask me. Plus a friggin' shotgun, like how do you do that? But yes, there's a shotgun in this, and I'll get to that later on. And I'm also going to talk about the Kadokawa acquisition as well. That'll be a separate thing. And there'll be a link in the description if you want to look at the pretty pictures, because I like to just have one image on things. But anyway, Project Beast, the rumor. To me, it kind of looks like a Victorian sort of Renaissance era kind of thing, which a bit of a turnoff for me just because I'm not really into that kind of era. The atmosphere is definitely spooky enough, and that kind of reminds me of Demon Souls more. And some people were saying that it might be a revival of Nightmare Creatures, or at least saying that it looks like that, but I don't think it's a revival because Nightmare Creatures was made by someone else, I think Konami or something. And so unless this is one of those revivals that's made by a separate company, which usually means that the game's going to be bad. It does happen, but the game usually ends up being bad. That doesn't really happen too, or it does happen, but I don't think it's the case here, is what I'm trying to say. But and also there's the shotgun that the lead character, the player character, has, and so that turned off people as well. Though at the same time, if it's a Victorian or Renaissance kind of game, then of course there's going to be, guns in this game, which will probably arouse some people, because I know some people really like guns. But there's at least sabers in this, so if nothing else, that'll be there for my sword. This game seems to definitely have a horror theme to it, and if it's one of those, I think it'd be interesting if you could turn to like a vampire or a werewolf. This game definitely looks like a Souls game. I usually just call it Dark Souls, a Dark Souls game, but apparently everyone just says Soul, which I guess is fair because this could be just something separate. I don't think it's Dark Souls 3. Some people might be saying it's Beast Souls or Demon Souls 2, but we'll get to that later on. But the reason why I just call it Dark Souls is because, there's the Soul Calibur series, and I consider that the Soul series, but I guess this is Souls series. Though at this point, with this franchise, I feel like it's either going to be another Dark Souls or something else. I don't think we're going to get like a spiritual successor every single time. Maybe it's Kingsfield 5. But anyway, what we have seen, there's not much we can say about it in general. It definitely has the Renaissance feel to it, and there's a little bit of someone wrote out a little thing about it, which gave some descriptions. You'll be able to read it yourself. And one of the things that stood out to me was that pyromancy was mentioned by name, and of course in the image you see FromSoftware, which shows that they're at least working on it. And the game itself looks like Dark Souls anyway. But also another thing is, like, there were words on the ground. This is a nightmare, which reminded me of like the message system in the game, which again sort of solidified the fact that this is probably another Dark Souls game or Souls game or whatever. Probably not Dark Souls 3, most likely either Demon Souls 2, which has been hinted at for a while, or Beast Souls, or or The Beast Enraged coming to you, or whatever. Maybe Kingsfield 5. Watch it be Kingsfield 5. If it's Kingsfield 5, I'm gonna. You heard it here first. It could be Kingsfield 5. I doubt it. Or maybe it's Shadow Tower 3. Or maybe it is really Nightmare Creatures. We don't really know what it is. All we know is that it's Project Beast, and Dark Souls started off as, I was about to say, Project Dark. So that could lead us into it being Beast Souls. Or though at the same time, the term beast makes me think of demons or monsters. And I believe the Old One soul in Demon Souls is called the Soul of the Beast, and then there's the Talisman of the Beasts, which implies demons. So this could be a Demon Souls 2, perhaps, and it could be taking a more progressive approach than Dark Souls 2, which I'll get to at some point, probably another week or so, when I finally get my quote-unquote review out. But overall, I'm excited for this game. You know, this is the one, I feel like this is going to be the game that's going to push me to get a PS4, besides the whole emulation thing of PS2 and PS1. You know, and of course, I was going to get a PS4 anyway, if not for Warframe and whatever cool games come out for it, and of course a Wii U as well. But I was going to mainly stick with those two and only get an Xbox One if they announce like Banjo-Kazooie or something. But yeah, I think this will be interesting, and I think it's real, because like I said, you know, Dark Souls 1, it's kind of hard to really do a lot of visual effects with mods. Like, if you watch the videos of people who have modded it, it's really, they're just taking armors and retexturing it. It's not even really that much to it. And of course, Demon Souls, you can't really mod. I mean, you could definitely make a mod. You wouldn't be able to do anything with it if you just wanted to make a mod, but but that's really all you could do with it. And I know there's some left out content, and I don't know, maybe this will go into the extra Archstone. It'll definitely be interesting to see where this project goes. I feel like we'll probably hear more about it in E3, like in June or something, or whatever. But yeah, that's what I think about Project Beast. And now on to the Kadokawa acquisition of FromSoftware. I've already mentioned, I think, a little bit of this in my top 5 action figures of video game characters that need to be made video. But from what I understand, Kadokawa is a is a manga, animation, and they're an action figure, and they're kind of only getting into games with like Killer is Dead and Lollipop Chainsaw, and with some possibilities would be like a manga adaptation of Dark Souls or something, which Epic Name Bro said he felt like wasn't very good for the series. But honestly, I think that it would be kind of cool to see a Dark Souls anime or manga. What I really want is action figures, which I feel like I'm a little surprised that no one's actually tried to make, because popular series warrants action figures, if you ask me. But also, since Kadokawa is such a big company, I feel like it would also give FromSoftware a lot of money to work with. And of course, some companies do just sort of let the companies that they hold do what they want. Like with Disney, that seems to be the case with Marvel and whatnot. But another thing that could be the case is that they might want to take some control with the franchises, which with this Project Beast could be an example of them trying to take a little bit of control with FromSoftware. though I don't remember if the news articles have stated if the acquisition was to be finalized that then and there, or if it were going to be a something that would take a while. Like, because I know with Namco Tales Studio merging into Namco, that took a little while, and the merging of Namco Europe and Namco America, that also took a while. Heck, with the Namco and Bandai merging, that took a while in North America as well. But and another thing that made me concerned was if this was the case, was Kadokawa going to take away international publishing rights from Namco Bandai, or was FromSoftware going to go with Sony or Atlas or somebody, or whoever published Killer is Dead or Lollipop Chainsaw, which I believe is Sega. So I guess that would mean that Dark Souls would join the Sega franchise, which is a little sad because I kind of liked Namco kind of controlling my life when it came to video games. But another possibility is that, it could just be two different series being published by two different developers. Like, from what I understand, Tri-Ace, they are I think they're part of Square Enix. I don't think, or at least they are partially owned by Square Enix. And so they help with, Final Fantasy, or they did. But they also helped Sega with a few of their, they did a Resonance of Fate, and they were working on Phantasy Star Nova, which I guess you could consider to be a version of Star Ocean, which I'll get to at some point because I've actually been working on 3 and 4 for podcast reasons. But so I think that it could really go either way in terms of what kind of quality we're going to get from FromSoftware. It could be that Kadokawa just leaves them alone, or they take a little bit of control of things, and maybe even a lot. But I'd say for now, the differences won't really be that major, and for all we know, there might not be any differences at all. And I think FromSoftware is fine with the acquisition. I mean, obviously they accepted it, so that's obviously something. And, maybe they'll continue to make Dark Souls while making this series. I mean, it might make, what's the word, internal competition, I think. It might, or basically, they might be making a competition with themselves, which would be kind of weird, but, who knows? And I would love to see some people might argue, how would a Dark Souls anime even work? Because, the story isn't really that direct. It's not, they don't really tell you, but what they could do is take a stylized approach with it, like maybe have an anime where there's no voiced dialogue or something, or maybe just kind of focus on other characters or something. I mean, I'm sure they'll figure something out, or it could just be a short or a live action TV series or something. Because I mean, there are other characters, so it's not like the player character has to be the focus. But overall, I'm interested to see what happens in the future. I think I'm glad that FromSoftware now is part of something bigger, and hopefully they'll have more money to work with. But yeah, that's really all I have to say on Project Beast and the Kadokawa acquisition. I'm looking forward to Project Beast if it's Beast if it's real. And I think the acquisition will bring out some good things from Software's franchises, and potentially give them better resources for better quality products. Like an open world Dark Souls game would be something. Maybe not necessarily a Dark Souls / Souls game, but maybe a game that just plays like one and uses a similar engine and play style, but uses gold instead of souls, and has maybe a more direct story, and it's more like just a standard Western RPG. I think that'd be pretty interesting because I enjoy the gameplay of Dark Souls. I think it's pretty fun, and it could still have bosses. They could work with that, I think. But yeah, that's all I have to say on this little announcement. Hopefully there will be more to come with the conventions that are starting up. But yeah, This is Flamsaron, aka YouTube Sasuke, signing out. See you later, and try to stay away from the beast. Oh, I was trying to do a thing. Bye!